You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
You're killing me.
I know. You know what? There's a part of me that doesn't want that to end. Like, I'm going to create the intro so it's so long that your arms are just going to fall off.
It's like Family Guy, where it just goes just a little too long for it to be comfortable. You know. Hey, there's a question for you though. What looks more powerful, like this? Or straight up like this? Like, is it this or is it this?
Every time I see this, I think Rocky, right? He's running up the stairs in Philadelphia, right? And he gets to the top and he's got his arms up, right?
Yeah.
And that straight up feels. That's like, you cross the finish line.
Yeah, that's right. I think because the reason why I'm asking is because I'm making a new logo and I'm going to do a silhouette. And I think I did it out like this, but I want to do it like this. So I'm just going to tell it it's to go.
Well, maybe you need an alternate.
That's
like
right.
one when you're feeling, you gotta mix things up.
So this is what I go to bed thinking about at night. What looks more powerful?
Right.
That's what salespeople do. Should I say or the in that sentence? You start all these crazy little things. You're just trying to adjust all this stuff. How you doing, Christone?
Man, I'm doing great. I mean, listen, when you start a business, you want it to be successful, and when things are starting to be successful for you, things get really busy. And so I'm trying to keep myself, I'm not like successful, I'm just saying, you want things to get busy so you can outsource and
you start getting customers is what's happening.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because the definition of a business is a customer.
Having a customer. You were setting me up. I didn't realize
I'm the one coaching you today. Yes.
Okay.
I'm coaching you. Even you need a coach, Dan.
But that's what happens. Once you start getting customers, then you start getting busy, then you start going crazy, and then you start doing the exact opposite thing that you were doing to get to the point where you are right now. And that's why you need to, thank goodness for you that once a week you get to, the voice of sanity in me, keeping you in line.
The voice of sanity, really.
I am the world's worst coach. I mean, I'm terrible. I did it for years, not for years. When I left one job, one business I sold, I started coaching for a little while, and I got up to like 17 clients. And then one day I'm just like, I fired them all. Guys, I can't do this. It was terrible because it's like, you think it's like when you have children, you think if you just tell them once, it's done. Now with your kids, I got it. I have to tell you 10,000 times before it takes hold. But you're not my children. You're not my kids. It's once. And if you're not going to do it, and it was so frustrating. So I'm a terrible coach. Fortunately, there are great coaches and great mentors and great people out there. Is that the segue of a lifetime? Are you kidding me?
That's a beautiful segue.
You can't get better.
So let's bring our guest on.
Let's do it.
And so please let me introduce to you and to all the great viewers and listeners of Dan Jordan Live. Would you please welcome transformational growth coach, keynote speaker, author, and sales leader. Would you please welcome Mr. Rick Denley? Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. So great to be here. And I like this. And we're going to do this.
Oh, yeah, you got to put your arms in the air.
I got one tip, though, what I like. And you'll know why if you look at these and things and a bit of my background. I kind of like just the one. The one straight up. And the rest takes my arm and raises it up. That's a winner.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, every once in a while, you got to
do what works.
I like the Rocky themes too, of course. So that's all good part of it. Guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, it was. We Chris, we're lucky to get him. I
know.
So every once in a while, you get big hitters that come for whatever reason to get pummeled here, and this is one of those. Jen, now you're all where do you come from, Rick?
I'm in Toronto, Canada, just north of the border for a lot of your viewers.
Okay, for a lot of us, just north of the border. Now, in Toronto, you're not the French-speaking part. That's Montreal, right?
Parlez-vous français? Oui. No.
Oh, je m'appelle Daniel Jourdan.
I want to be your typical Canadian and say yes, but you just heard my entire French repertoire. So no, I don't speak French per se. That tends to be in the Quebec province more than anywhere else.
Well, there's something I do want to ask you this. We were going to get into actual coaching things and actual, issues that come up in a minute. But in terms of business, I noticed there's a lot of like really good Canadian sales leaders out there. I mean, Patrick Tinney was one of them. I think he's a buddy of yours.
I love Patrick.
There. Yeah. And there's that Vanilla Soft guy, Prail.
I'm not close with him, but there's some really good, well-known sales leaders.
And I know another guy, Chris Cummings, who's a good speaker out of there. What is it about Canada that develops these speakers? Do you guys just don't like to work, and so you just do this whole consulting thing?
Oh, believe me, that consulting thing is work as well, Dan. Unfortunately, I'm one of those crazy entrepreneurs that works 100 hours a week, so I don't have to work 40.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely right. Yeah, that's something that people don't realize when they go into business for themselves is they think, I was told this, that, when you have your own business, you only have to work half a day. You get to pick which half, the first 12 hours or the second.
No, we don't find that as well. No, a lot of hard work goes into it. I left the corporate world about 4 years ago, and I had a few people look at me and go, why? You only had a few years left, and then you're easy sailing. It was just I wasn't feeling productive, and it wasn't where my passion was anymore. My passion is helping individuals and organizations be the best they can be, to literally help them punch through their growth ceiling, and that's what I like to do as a coach.
Well, okay, so that sounds great, but who are you talking to when they're punching through their ceiling? Are these the frontline salespeople? Are these the sales managers? Yes. Are these the owners of the company?
Yes to all three. The sole contributor or the feet on the street are great to work with because I'm a salesman at heart myself, carried the bag for decades. And then, of course, the leadership. And it's so difficult right now, Dan, it's a big ask, given everything we're going through right now, for sales leaders to look after the short-term needs of the organization, yet keep the long-term objectives in place. So the sales leaders are important as well. And then in small to medium-sized organizations, I love working with the entrepreneurs because I'm in that same position as they are. So leading and coaching any of those individuals is where my passion lies.
Nice.
Well, passion is great. And I've got it too, and my listeners listen to all this passion. But how do you transfer that passion to get somebody not only to learn what you have to give, but to actually, and this was my challenge as a coach, to get them to actually implement kind of what they know they need to do anyhow. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good point. First thing I like to do is ask a couple questions of the people that I'm going to work with and get a better feel for them. And that's very important. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But that connection that you have with your coach and mentor is very important. But I ask them, do you have a goal in mind? And they say, yeah, I've got a goal. I know where I want to be. I know where I want the organization to be, whatever it might be, that's fine. And I'll say, okay, have you done this before? And they're like, well, no, I haven't. I said, okay. So you lack something in that area. And finally, then I'll ask them, I'll say, well, have you got a plan? And most people say, oh, yeah, I've got a plan. Well, we know what a plan, right? Everybody's got a plan, Dan, until they get punched in the face. Right?
Wait a second. Did he actually just bring a prop onto the show? I mean, did you get approval?
We've hit a new level. This is a new level, Rick. Thank you for bringing us there.
I get it. Punch through. There go. Very good. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. So everybody got a plan until they take that punch in the face, right? Then what do? Then they're in trouble. So that's some of the reasons why people need a coach in place. It's very important for them. You know, there's a reason why professionals at any level, whether it be, look at sports, the best professionals in the world, what do? They have a coach. They're supposed to be the best in the world, but they still have a coach. Politicians, CEOs, any C-level executive of a company probably has a mentor or coach who they're working with now or who helped them get there. Okay. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I'll just share a few with you now. They have the experiences that you don't have yet. And they have the pitfalls that they went through that they want you to avoid. Why repeat them if somebody already went through them, right? These are just some of the reasons. They can look at you from a different point of view than you do. And these are all important things when you start talking about obtaining a coach and a mentor and why you should, why everybody should.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on a sales call and you're trying to sell me on coaching here. And so, great. I understand these professional athletes have coaches. I understand these top executives have coaches. I understand all that. You know why? They're making $3 million a year. I've been struggling in my small business for the past 5 years. I haven't really made a profit because I'm putting everything back into the business. I'm struggling to keep my family together. How can I afford you, Mr. Coach?
And that's a great question. And my answer to start with is really, you can't afford not to. You know, you don't know what you don't know at this point, and you have to invest in yourself and your organization just as you do in anything else, whether it be your finances, whether it be your home, your family, and so on. There needs to be that investment, so carve it out. You will, the ROI on it, the return on your investment to obtaining a coach will come. It's in there, believe me. And people ask me,
what is it? What is the ROI?
Oh, the ROI can come in different areas. Great question, Dan. It can come through efficiencies to start with, where perhaps you're spending too much time, because time is money, and too much money as well. It can come really on that bottom line of obtaining more sales in a lucrative area. How are you going to grow your organization? You might not even have the correct plan and strategy. So depending on the hours you put in, you're still not getting anything out of it. So you have to make sure that you have a clear plan, strategy, and execution going forward. All these things will be your ROI. And guess what? That stays with you. That's in your DNA then going forward, and you'll continue to grow.
Oh, so it's a lifetime. Yeah, that's good. So ultimately, this is me just getting this from what you said.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's not even me that's paying you this money. It's my future customers that are going to come, and they're the ones who are giving you the money. That's what I'm getting.
Great way to look at it. Exactly right. It's coming from that lucrative future customers that you're obtaining, and that will continue going forward as well. So that's not going to change.
All right. So here's a quick example. So Chris Stone, the world-class producer here, this guy that is on the bottom. By the way, I mean, I joke around with him. He's awesome. This is going to embarrass him, but I tell you, my life changed when Chris Stone came aboard. He's like my coach in that respect, where he keeps me in
Rick,
line.
here it comes. This is a setup. This is a setup.
But he has a business now that he started for, doing podcasts, and he does several big name guys, including the DJ. By the way, the Sales Energizer podcast. Do we have a little something there? If he was a real producer, he would have it ready. So make sure you subscribe to the Sales Energizer podcast, not for me, but for Chris Stone. It'll make him feel good. So he does that, but he's also, because of that, he's producing a bunch of other people too. And he's gotten to the point where he's reached kind of a block where he's got too much work for him to continue doing this stuff. So if you're his coach, what would you tell him to do?
Okay, it's a real conundrum in a way. It's one that people want, and then when it comes, they go, oh my God, what do I do now? I've got too much on the go. Couple things that you want to look at coming from a coach and from an experienced person that's running into this now as well, because I pivoted my business due to COVID and things like that. It's all online and digital, which has been great. And then I expanded it and I'm overloaded just like you, Chris. So what you want to do in this case is make sure that you're selecting your clients correctly. Make sure that they're profitable clients that you can work with and the fit is correct. That will help your credibility going forward, which is huge. Second thing is, if you want to continue to grow and expand, look to outsource. Look to outsource the things that you're either not a master at or ones that other people can do, admin related and so on, so that you can keep moving forward. If it's time to expand a bit and bring on other people, now you're building your team. Build your team appropriately to keep pace with your growth. So make yourself scalable with a couple of those suggestions. Does that help at all?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell this to Dan all the time. This was advice that he gave me, is that I do a lot more disqualifying than qualifying when I'm having conversations, when I'm having that initial consult. I don't want to just sort of leave people in the dust. I feel like I need to give them and equip them. Yeah. But if it's not something that is a fit, I'm usually doing more disqualifying. So you talked about a number of things, and one of the things that I want to get into is your book, and which sure. I know is new. And you had mentioned obviously what's going on right now in the world and your business. You had to pivot completely, and now that's ramping up for you. So as a coach and all of the things you're doing, including keynote speaking, which right. obviously that business is, you could do some virtual conferences, so to speak.
Right.
So what did you do in your business? I guess let's try to get a little more specific here in terms sure. of how you took your business to a virtual, which was probably, I'm guessing, more face-to-face, right? There was a lot more travel involved in what you were doing. There was a lot more face-to-face. Now you're on a camera. Now you're on a phone, which is virtual. And so what did you do specifically in your business to change?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I always look at three main factors with organizations and people as well: skills, tools, and knowledge. Those are the three things that we consistently have to get better at and adapt to going forward. So on the skill side of things, I had to become much more skillful with online. And combined with that are the tools. How good are you at the tools now that make you virtual? And that can be updating your website. That can be utilizing StreamYard and Zoom calls that we work through. And how effective are you with those? And then gaining the knowledge on how, in particular right now, how to sell and coach virtually. It's not the same. And people that are waiting around for COVID to go away or for us to come out of this, it's never going back to the way it was, people. So you need to get on board with the new skills, tools, and knowledge post-COVID, during COVID, whatever you want to call it, because it's changed for a lifetime now. The way that people buy and sell has changed, and we need to adapt to that. So that's the skills, tools, and knowledge part that I emphasize everybody has to.
Right.
I did it. I monetized my business by moving it all online. So that's completed now as well. Then the final thing that you have to do is get very good with virtual tools. You have to be able to utilize that technology strongly. Your sales process that I implement at organizations, it doesn't change. How you go about executing each stage of a sales process, that changes. How are you prospecting? How are you qualifying? How are you creating and sharing solutions, negotiating, and then closing? That is the part that we need to update.
Now he's singing my song, baby. That's where we go. Years ago, this is a setup, Chris Stone. Years ago, I wanted to learn how to sell from the stage. Jitesh Kumar. He's a buddy. He's actually on one of our, we offer 3 free coaching calls, 3 hours free if people go to the Sales Arbiter website.
Right. Yeah.
And do that stuff. And he's one of the people on there. He's just sucking it up. He's like a sponge. He's a good guy.
Nice.
But years ago, I wanted to learn how to sell from the stage, and I'm not that good as a classroom student. I got to get my hands dirty and get it. And so I went I got a job with Vitamix, selling Vitamix's blenders at like Costco and things like that. I mean, it's like total performance. I had the time of my life. Through Christmas, I sold $140, $500 blenders.
Nice.
What I learned is soup sells blenders. I would just make soup all day. And right now, to get used to the new technology, I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to show you what I've been doing to try to get better at selling from the screen. But then I'll ask you, how can people improve their skills that you talk about? Go ahead, Chris. Show them what we did. Chris has a show. Well, you explain it.
Yeah, so I do a show with my partner Jim Fuse, and it's called Dealcasters Live on Amazon Live. And most of what we talk about is podcasting gear and live streaming gear, and kind of like getting people past the mind junk and finding deals on Amazon and whatnot. But it was Prime Day for 2 days last week, and we decided that we would have a special guest on because we saw that Vitamixes were on sale on Amazon during Prime Day. So we're going to pop this.
So we called the Deej, Mr. Sir Mix-a-Lot himself.
And so we're just going to play a little bit of this just for some fun. But listen, the Vitamix is a killer deal. Dan, can you hear us live from Dan Jordan's kitchen?
That's right. So here we go. So first of all, let me tell you about it, because it is kind of exciting. You think it's just a blender, but that's like saying, I don't know what kind of car you have, but it's like you could say, oh, it's just like a go-kart. No, it's not just like a go-kart. It's a car. This thing is not a blender. A blender lasts for about 15 minutes, and then you put ice in it to make one margarita, and then it stops and it gets hot, and then your party is all fakaked. This thing, not only...
Did I actually say fakaked?
I think you did. You did. All right. Well, yeah.
Anyway, so the point is, how I always get better with skills is I just jump into the deep end.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. So how would you suggest that they do that?
Well, first off, there's a lot of resources out there for this. And Chris, you're sharing one as well, which is brilliant. So watch that. Learn from them. This is where the coaching piece comes in, people. Don't just go out and try and do it all on your own. Get a coach. And especially when we're looking at sales during these challenging, difficult, changing times, get somebody who is your true coach that can help you. And here's what I want to do. I want to share with you right now, Dan. Okay. I want to share with you a little bit about that and why. Listen, we all go through growth cycles, right? We plan, we perform, we get feedback, and then we perform better. A coach helps us in all those different areas. Interesting little story for you. It was back in the 80s when this creative leadership group got together at the Center for Creative Leadership in Greensboro, North Carolina. And they came up with this formula, 7-20-10. And they said that 70% of our learning and growing and change comes from experience. So to your point, jump in and get going with it. Interactions was 20%, and then 10% was that formal education. That formal education comes from others, including coaches. So we want to get a coach, especially in sales leadership, even for our organization, who does these things. And why do we need a coach? And I just want to answer it for you right now, okay? And they're right up here. So I'm going to zoom right in on you. Okay. Number one reason why we need a coach is that they have experience already. They've already been there, done that. Learn from them. Second one, guidance. They will give you the guidance you need. Okay. And avoid some of the pitfalls. Big one being number 3, accountability. They're going to hold you accountable to make sure you do what you need to, because sometimes we slip on that ourselves, right? And they're very objective. We're not objective with ourselves enough. We're subjective. They will be objective to you. So they have that objectivity. And finally, support. They're in your corner. They're in your corner helping you the entire time to support you. So they're the top 5 reasons to get a coach, especially in sales and leadership area. Dan, does that help?
That's awesome. Hey, here we closed me at the end. Does that help? Is that good? You're working? I mean, that's awesome.
It's inherent.
That's great. Well, so do you have a book or something?
I do, and thanks. I know, Chris, you mentioned it as well there. And I do. You know what? It came out in the weirdest time as well, given the title. The book is called Reinvent Yourself, and it came out in April during this whole pandemic. And people said, wow, that was great timing for your book. Well, it's not like I just wrote it over a weekend. It just happened to come out at that time. And in the book, chapter 7, we talk about coaching specifically, getting a coach, getting a mentor, why it's important. And in fact, there's a checklist in there, even how to do it. And the checklist talks about the characteristics that you want in a coach so that you come out with the right one, because it's not easy to pick them. And just as Chris said earlier too, refine your business so that you make sure that you get the right clients. It's the same with getting a coach. So I brought the book out, Reinvent Yourself, and it's for individuals and organizations. Listen, it's personal positive growth through any mess, mission, or movement you're on. That's what it's all about. And people can pick it up on Amazon or on my website at www.rickdenley.com.
Is this guy a pro or what? I tell you what, he's got the alliteration, he's got the gloves, he's got the boxing references. I think the Rocky stuff would work for you. Listen, you think your timing was good. I do business with this company called Co-Video. They do video emails. Co-Video. He said their SEO exploded. I mean, they're killing it right now.
Amazing.
It's the best thing that ever happened to their business.
Incredible.
So that's great. So here, I'm one last question, because this is important. I deal with a lot of business owners,
Sure.
a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants who are really good at what they do, but they can't, they couldn't close a barn door if their life depended on it. You seem to be pretty good at it, but you said something in your last monologue, saying about how you have to make sure you pick the right coach.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you're prospecting and you have a meeting like that, you got to be comfortable with the idea the person might just not like you, or it might not be a good fit.
True.
How do you handle that and still wake up the next morning without thinking that you're useless and worthless?
Okay, that's tough, but a very good question. And if I understood it properly, it's really adapting our style to the other person's and a little bit of mirroring, which is very important in sales and in coaching as well. You have to be sure you understand their style. We know that there's only 4 personality styles for the most part, that people are either, they're amiable, they're expressive, they're a driver, or they're analytical. If you can mirror that a little bit, they're going to be a lot more comfortable with you, because people still buy from people. Even in this virtual world, when we get on like this, you only have a short period of time to have somebody know, like, and trust you. And that's what you're shooting for very quickly. So understand their personality style, try to mirror it a little bit without being disingenuous, and that will help out quite a bit. When we're choosing a coach, as you mentioned, we have to be sure that we choose somebody that we admire, that has the experience that we need in that particular area, and really will work well within our group. And one thing I can tell you, whoever you're choosing, it should not be a family member or a friend. Stay outside of that.
That's great advice. Yeah, and then you touched on this, Rick, and I was going to ask this earlier, and that is, how important is it? Because when you're in your own head, sometimes you don't understand what you may need. And so you may say, well, I need a coach to help me with my presentation skills. So you find somebody that specializes in that, but maybe you need help in other areas first and foremost that are more important. So when someone is seeking out a coach, is it better to kind of find someone that works in different sort of areas, or someone that is highly specialized in one particular area that you want to focus on?
Oh, great question. Yeah, Chris, that's great. The problem is that we always want to be around people that are similar to us, because we feel comfortable with that. And we tend to hire people similar to us, but that's not always what the team needs. That's not always what you need in your circle. As you said earlier, Dan, you want to be the devil in the room every so often, right? And you want to challenge and things. So you want to be sure that you hire somebody that has a complementary skill set to your own. I often tell people before they go and hire anybody or work with anybody, think of the end goal in mind. What is it that you're trying to get to? Paint that picture extremely clearly, articulate it, and communicate it to a few people that you think you can work with, and have them come back on the open-ended question, say, how would you help me out reaching my goals? And then see how they come back to you. The style at which they respond to that and react will help tell you whether they're the correct fit or not, and whether they have that specificity that you're looking for. Are they the ones in that narrow focus for you? I'm much more narrow focused than broad-banded, as long as you bring experiences from other areas that complement that.
Yeah.
Dang, this guy's a pro. I tell you what, everybody could learn from you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on today.
No, I'm glad to be here.
Tell your friends. This is good. All right.
Well, we touched. Hang on, Dan. We touched on the book. So, Rick, if you can just move a little bit to your right, Dan, a little bit to your left, we're going to pop that book up on the screen. The book is called Reinvent Yourself, by Rick Denley. Go and pick this up. It's in the chat. So everybody that's watching right now live, there's a link in there that sends you straight to Amazon to pick up the book. Of course, it'll be in the show notes. So if you're watching this on replay, you'll be able to do that as well. So yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And Rick, is Chris Stone not the best? I tell you what. You could go on 1,000 podcasts. Nobody would tell you to move to the left like he does. I tell you.
That was awesome.
That's a good guy.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
No,
I
that's great.
appreciate you, and I learned a lot from you, and I hope people did as well. And I'll tell you the main thrust that you're going to get out of this. Rick was 100% prepared for this interview. He was ready to roll with everything. He had what he was going to say. He knows what he was selling. He knows what he has, and he knows what he has to give. What about you? Every once in a while, you're going to get into a situation where someone's going to ask you that tough question. How can you help me achieve my goals? He's got it nailed down. As soon as you get it nailed down, your future is open to the world. You got everything coming your way. Because people want to know, prepare, 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 and you got nothing but success in your future. Appreciate you watching today. You're the best. I'm the Deej. Just go get them, will you?